the pain, the only thing that's real.
Oh, that was terrible.
The needle
Brilliant intro, though.
tears a hole. It's brilliant, that, isn't it? Into my liar's chest. You are not alone.
It's the reunion.
I am still right here. Can you do that bit that goes boom, boom, boom? I like that.
See, if you join the Patreon, then we promise to stop doing this kind of stupid thing.
Yeah, yeah. Honestly.
Can also do pretty much the same thing as Hotel California.
We're going to mute Callum out now unless he puts the guitar down.
Yeah.
Do you want Wonderwall?
What is a Wonderwall anyway?
It's the opposite of a hedge.
That's true. Yeah, a dry stone Wonderwall. Yeah, that'd be quite cool.
Words from the Wonderwall.
Anyway.
That would be my follow-up book.
Anyway,
Are we all back together?
We're all back together like unwanted sort of... You know what they've done with ABBA? Perhaps that's what they ought to do with us. You know, they've just sort of have these holograms.
What, kill us?
What
And turn us into holograms?
Yeah, exactly. And then we could just like appear every week as a hologram and not actually be here, but just sort of have it in...
With your internet, I doubt it.
Hey, but have you not noticed? Ever since I came into my dining room, it's now slick.
Oh, I wonder where that was
Where
going.
were you standing at the time?
Well, on one leg, as I always do. Any road. I didn't... Do you know, this is something you learn every day. I didn't know that Callum could actually play the guitar. There you go.
Well, it's barely.
Well, that's better than I could do. I can play the recorder.
He can play the guitar just enough so that girls will come over and talk to him. I bet that was the strategy.
I'm too scared to... No, do you know what the actual strategy was? I was always the kid that would get like cymbals at any kind of music thing, or like do a wicked triangle.
Oh, you
solo.
mean like percussion cymbals, not like flashcards?
I mean, potentially both. Wasn't great at
Ink
any
blot
of them.
tests. Why did you do that horrible thing to the squirrel, Callum?
Musically, for conservation. I wish I knew that excuse when I was a kid. It would have been so much easier. I could have just... It was the grey one, wasn't it? Yeah. It's conservation.
So
Your
anyway, listen, get back to the point. So the symbols, they gave you symbols, and how did you arrive in this Brian May type way?
I was so terrible
Yeah.
at music. I thought there's got to be something that I can redeem myself with. So I just learnt a few little tunes on the guitar. Guitar's like £100. It's quite easy to do, and you can also... You just go on YouTube and obviously, you know, I'm qualified at a lot of things from the University of YouTube, got BTEC, national diplomas, all sorts. And just go on there and people will teach you chords. Spanish guitar is great fun. You can just learn a few little bits that sound Spanishy.
And then do you sing flamenco whilst you're doing it?
Absolutely not. Nobody needs that.
He's got very tight trousers as well.
Exactly. Yeah. Then he goes out and does a little bit of matadoring, but rather than having a bull, he uses a spaniel.
Chihuahua.
Yeah.
He's outside waving a handkerchief at a spaniel.
Olay. So that's all good news. Now, do you know, it's always something. I remember once going into a pub in Newmarket, and it was a race day, and as everyone is all trying to sort of strut around like peacocks, all the chaps dressed in smart suits, ladies in beautiful low-cut tops, and this one slightly scruffy bloke made his way to the piano in this pub, and he started playing, and it didn't matter just how scruffy and untidy he was, because he could play anything. Can you play X? And it's right old honky tonk stuff, and it's brilliant. And I thought, yeah, well done you. When you were getting the piss taken out of you by all your mates because you had to do piano practice, well, who's laughing and getting laid now? Hey, well done him.
Yeah, pretty cool if you can play something cool.
Yeah.
I play play some rap tunes on the kids' piano as well, which is always good fun.
So, Richard, tell us something interesting about your week that you've had, or the week so far.
Right. Well, I've had quite an interesting day today, actually. I was up, Goldie and I went up to North...
You were up Goldie?
No, Goldie and I went
right.
up to North Norfolk, to the North Norfolk Coastal Cluster Group. Try saying that with your teeth in. So the big farm cluster that stretches from Sandringham on the west to all the way over to the east coast of North Norfolk, encompassing some of the largest and grandest estates in the land. And we went up there to go and do a hedgerow management talk and whatnot. And it's very interesting because it's so different, North Norfolk to Suffolk, in the respect that here we've got lots of smaller farmers, I guess. They're just farmers who farm. Whereas up there, you've got these enormous estates and about 5, 6 landowners who seem to sort of take up more or less, I think 3/4 of that block of land is just owned by about 5 individuals. And when they go and say, we're going to do landscape recovery and activities here, they can do so, because if those 5 individuals say, yep, I'm up for that. And what they're planning on doing is a non-stop linking hedgerow all the way from Sandringham and all the way, I think it stops actually at the eastern side of Holcombe. So that's vast. They're trying to connect this great big piece of habitat by one hedgerow that links and adds all these habitats that they've got there together. I mean, it's a very long way, and it's a lovely idea. So we're up there giving our sage words of advice and wisdom on how the farmers and mainly the farm managers up there can go and manage their hedgerows better. And it was nice to get up to North Norfolk, and rather than doing the sort of, oh yes, we've got to go to Brandecosse or somewhere swanky, this was literally in the middle of nowhere at Massingham, which was a fascinating estate. Once upon a time, kept largely not for shooting, but for coursing. The old lady who used to own that there, she was a coursing aficionado, and so you've got swathes upon swathes of old grassland there, so that the greyhounds could run across it, and ancient meadows up there in North Norfolk and Massingham. So I went north, not just past the Waveney, but a long way to the north, where there be dragons.
Are you tempted, because it's Norfolk, to just sort of sabotage them out of some sort of cross-border rivalry?
Yeah. Give them a load of really duff advice. Yes, yeah. I think your best bet is you want to plant blackthorn everywhere. Yeah, just go on. That'll be brilliant.
Considered Leylandi.
Yeah, here's our latest words of advice. Yes.
Is Suffolk and Norfolk really that different?
No. Do you know? Well, okay. There is quite a lot of difference, I think, between the personalities of Norfolk and Suffolk. And I believe that comes down to we're not actually a great county for significant earls and dukes and lords here. We've only got a handful, a smattering of landowners who have got titles. But Norfolk is owned, certainly sort of the northern half of it is owned by very large landowners, some of whom have titles and that.
Yeah.
And so I think there is a difference there. I think Norfolk is slightly more belligerent. They take even less shit than we do in Suffolk. I think there is a certain, I suppose probably because for such a long while we were so out on a limb, no one ever came through Suffolk and Norfolk to get anywhere. And I think there is a level of belligerence and the sticking a middle finger up as saying, you ain't going to tell me what to do, in Norfolk is probably even greater than what we have in Suffolk. Although, to be honest, the rivalry between Suffolk and Norfolk is a very gentle and friendly one. other than Ipswich Town Football Club and Norwich City Football Club, then that's a bit visceral. But
Yeah.
but I think on the whole, I think Norfolk and Suffolk boys will sort of take the piss out of one another. We call Norfolk our country cousins, but I think it's a fairly gentle rivalry. And I would say if there was something that you saw the difference between the two, is a Norfolk boy, you cross him at your peril. Not that they're angry, it's more that the fact they just don't take shit off anybody, and that's, I suppose, slightly to be admired.
I think it's a bit like Shropshire and Herefordshire. Sort of, it's basically the same thing, and there's no distinction when you go from border from one to the other, except one's got more apple trees. But they are placeholders over on the western side of England, just like Norfolk and Suffolk could just sort of fill that gap on the eastern side.
Yeah. I think out on a periphery is quite a thing, and you know,
we're going to get letters about this. You realise?
Do you know what? I don't care, because I think most Suffolk people would agree with what I've probably said, and I think that for me, I think actually being a bit of a belligerent bugger is a trait to be valued and cherished rather than to be sneered at. Claire and I were only discussing the other day, where should we go on holiday that isn't Suffolk? Because, you know, we went to Greece last year and my ears went pop because there's all these hills there. And I thought, I'd rather holiday in England again. And those bits along the Welsh borders, I am very intrigued by. So we thought we might do Pembrokeshire for 1 week and possibly do Herefordshire or Shropshire for another week. Which should I go to? Which one is better?
South Shropshire, because then you can do a bit of both. But South Shropshire, Ludlow, that kind of area.
Yeah.
You'd like that. It's like Suffolk, but inflated. Everything's been pumped up.
Inflated.
Pembrokeshire consistently wins the Seascape Photographer of the Year award pretty much every single year, because the beaches are crazy beautiful. Not necessarily ones you'd want to be like hanging around getting your fish and chips
Was it
on.
Pembrokeshire?
Like really,
Yeah.
really wild. The rock formations, they're just absolutely beautiful to look at. If you basically, for seascapes, all they do is they get a Lee Big Stopper, which is like a giant pair of sunglasses for the front of your camera.
It's basically the lens from a welding hood. It's
Okay.
very, very dark glass.
You stick one of those in front of that, and then you shoot an exposure that's really, really long. So then the waves of the sea aren't sharp; they're like smooth, glossy glass, and you get all that movement in it. And the sunrises and sunsets around that area are absolutely insane. And just as the rock formations are amazing. So, yeah, if you want some sightseeing, that is one of the places.
So Pembrokeshire and South Shropshire, Ludlowy type way.
Ludlow,
right?
you'd like Ludlow,
Yeah.
and sort of Bishop's Castle and that kind of area. The Welsh border, you've got to be a bit careful of there, because it goes in and out, and you can accidentally find yourself in Wales without realising it.
Actually, I went to Monmouth. Monmouth was
that's miles away
really
from
nice.
There. Okay.
But I know I did find myself on the Welsh border, and then I ended up in Wales, and but it was very pleasant. It was quite nice.
Anyone listening, if you're not from the area, you have to understand that South, Mid, and North Wales are basically 3 different countries, and it's not just separated out by how long it takes to travel between them. It's culturally very different. Even the Welsh language is different in those 3 places. So whenever you talk about Wales and you go, oh yeah, I went to Wales, and then they list somewhere that's an hour away, you go, no, you didn't go to my bit of Wales. It's this very weird thing. You can't have a sort of combined experience by landmass that you can with England. You can't just say, oh, well, Norfolk's a bit like Suffolk. It's like, no, Wales is weird.
Because it's certainly, am I correct in saying that North Wales and South Wales, they sort of disregard one another, is that right?
South Wales has got all the money that's given to Wales by Parliament to fund Wales, and then they spend it on South Wales mainly. But North Wales has a lot of the sort of modern industry stuff. Although it's like 2/3 of the population of Wales live in the bottom third. And then there's on the western edges and the northwestern corner, there's very few people. Once you get away from the coast, it's quite empty. There's a lot of room here. That's why we're here. I've been being on a photo shoot today, but I've been on the lens, as it were, not behind the lens, which is weird. So Josh from Brandecosse Boots came over, and we spent a day. We went out looking for mushrooms, although we didn't find many edible ones. I kept bringing out things saying like, "See this brown roll rim? Yeah. Talk about it. Tell you all the things. You can't eat that. It's deadly toxic.
That'll kill you.
Basically, every third thing ended up with that will kill you. So we had to find, because I had to do some little bits to camera as well about mushrooms and things. So I had to find stuff to say.
It's when he says, "Well, how quickly?" And then he spits it out because you took 10 minutes.
Yeah, and we've gone through about 10 of those, and then we got one, which is one of the yellow russulas. And I said, "Yeah, well, you can try that one." And he said, "Are you sure? Because everything you've found so far in this forest is deadly toxic." So no, this one's fine. It's a bit peppery.
Could they put a filter on you? Okay, we're going to filter the mushrooms you find now to the ones that we can eat and enjoy.
Yeah.
Now carry on walking forwards.
Brandecosse new strapline. Wear boots that won't kill you. The mushrooms will. That's brilliant. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, although I spoke nicely to your man Josh there, and he said he'd give us a discount code for our patrons and supporters.
Ooh, what a good
So you
man.
can buy your
Amazing.
Brandecosse boots, because they're at the pricier end of things, but they're all these handmade Italian boots, and they are solid. They last as well, and you can get the whole sole replaced on them. So I've just picked up a pair of Brontolares. Yeah, Brontolare is what you'll see me wearing at events between now and Christmas in muddy fields.
Are they the ones I wear? I've got a pair of Brontolari Rossos, those very tall ones, and the shorter ones, I think, and two pairs of Didito boots.
Are yours like a tan
Brown.
colour with a brown
Tan
rim?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're the Servo Rosso or
Servo Rosso. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've got the Brontolare is like that, but looks more like a Doc Martin with brown leather.
Right.
I
think I've got a pair of those as well. I think they're my sort of going slightly out, but places where I might get a bit muddy boots. It's ridiculous because, of course, these are from back in the day when I was doing, my feet were getting photographed by Callum all the time at the shooting times. And
I thought we agreed not to.
well, it was a phase we
until
went
after
through.
you deleted them.
It was a phase we went through.
Yeah,
Callum.
you were probably the most famous ankle model in the whole of Suffolk.
Oh, I tell you
one point.
what, not just Suffolk, I would have said certainly throughout East Anglia. I mean, my ankles were admired by many. And of course, you got all these wonderful boots. And I kept all the Didito and Brandecosse ones because they were absolutely mega, and I gave all the other ones away to my friends who had size 11 feet too. And
I was going to say, it must be good being your mate.
And don't forget the waders.
Yeah, it was. It was when I can remember the look of disappointment on the faces of quite a few of my pals. And I said, "Do you know what? I'm not going to write for the shooting times anymore. I just can't be doing with these bloody kit reviews anymore."
But what about the boots?
Yeah, what about the boots and the coats and the gun slips and the yada yada yada? And they go, "I just can't do it anymore. Please do it. Please, we'll pay you." It was quite amazing. And I have got an amazing array of boots courtesy of me writing stuff about it. But I've come to the conclusion, as Richard just has here, Brandecosse, Didito, I think you need look no further. Good British brands. And well done there.
Do you know what? I got a problem. Can
we narrow it down?
I bought a pair of Mindel. I bought a pair of Mindel boots, Mindel, and I can't kill them. I'm just waiting. I can't bring myself to replace something that's already functional, and there's also a sort of quite a high tolerance to what functional means in my life. unless I have to put, gorilla tape around
Yeah.
the front, they're not going anywhere. But I always go past the Brandecosse stand and I look and I'm like, oh, I'd like some of those. I actually quite like the trainers
The
because I think
Capriolo things.
they could be really good. What do they call them? Capriolo.
Right, the Capriolos.
In that nice tobacco colour.
Amy, cut this bit and put it for patrons only. Anyway, back in the real world.
Yeah, I quite fancy a pair of those trainers.
Yeah, they're good.
Yeah,
Well,
I think it'd suit you because they're quirky enough for you. Because would you believe, Callum, inspired by you, Charlie went on his Duke of Edinburgh Silver Award, and he's got an Actirix jacket now because you wear them.
Do you know that? So the zip's just gone on my new one. On my newish one. I think I've had it 5 years. The zip's gone.
it's not new.
Pockets busted, but to be fair, I do wear the hell out of things. So I'm looking at upgrading, but it's 550 quid for the new one that I wanted.
Oh dear! You want to write a kit review?
It's Thorium SV is the one I was looking at. It's got like Gore-Tex in the top and on the side, so it's down. Because I've got a unique problem that I do active stuff, but then I'm sat in a high seat or I'm sat in a ditch in a marsh for like 2 hours in the freezing cold with prevailing winds, with Storm Amy bashing me in the face. So you've got to have a mix of the insulation, but you need the ventilation because getting to a marsh or getting to a high seat through woodland is often quite tricky with a big camera back on your back. So it's tactical clothing is very hard to buy.
So I think there's some room here. There's some room here for us in the future to maybe do some gear content. I said gear. Gear reviews or gear guides, because we all work in the outdoors and we all break things and use stuff up, and we know some stuff that's crap and we know some stuff that actually works quite well. So I'm going to try and work that out, because there's going to be some changes on the CountrySlide website, and we're going to add some extra stuff in as we evolve and we come up to our 12-month anniversary. But gear reviews might be in there. Anyway, what were you about to say, Richard, before I rudely interrupted you?
I was going to say is that I was doing another talk for the catchment sensitive farmers. So that's not as in they're sensitive, as in they're also going, oh no, you insulted me.
Can't play
I find
rugby?
that very hurtful. No, these are the river catchment sensitive areas. So therefore, these are farmers who are along those river catchments where if they go and do something wrong with sprays or fertilizers, they kill lots of fish. And your mate Graham Downing was there, Callum, with his lovely wife, who you've always said she's an absolute hoot, and I wholeheartedly agree.
She's lovely.
And we were talking about kit, because he was saying about the challenges of stalking, is that you are up when it's bloody cold, and then you might have to move, or otherwise you might say, no, I've not stalked anything, so I'm going to go up this high seat and go and catch it there. And he was saying just how challenging kit for stalkers is. When I looked at this Actirix kit that Charlie's got, yes, it's very definitely waterproof, but he said I cooked in it.
Did he buy the waterproof jacket?
Yeah, it's a black thing.
So I decided I bought the Patagonia Torrent shell for a waterproof jacket because it's got a zip from the armpit all the way down. So when you're wearing like a mid layer, so I usually use the Arc'teryx jacket and then I've got the waterproof over the top. And when I'm walking, I just undo the sides so I get some ventilation under the armpits. And also the other Patagonia stuff, that big like bungle bear fleece is like a mesh underneath. So you open the pockets up and then you've just got this air mesh that keeps you cool when you open the pockets up. But it's pretty rubbish if you want to keep stuff in your actual pockets. But yeah, armpit vents in the jacket, because you will, it's designed not to let water in. So it's not that great at also letting moisture out.
Yeah.
if I do my boring description of how a breathable jacket works.
Go on.
Go on.
So
I'd love it.
if you've got a membrane breathable jacket like the one you're just talking about, or most modern waterproofs, when it says it's waterproof and breathable, what it generally means is that there's a material welded to a sort of a plastic-ish membrane, and that membrane has tiny little holes in it, and the idea is that moisture vapor, being small drops, can pass through that up and out into the atmosphere, but raindrops, being big bits, can't come back down through. But the problem with that is that when it's raining and all the outside of your coat is covered in water, the moisture vapor can't go through into the outside because it can't go through that layer of water. So you have this thing called DWR, durable water repellency, and that's that thing when your jacket beads up when water gets on it. So it goes, you get little
Hydrophobic
little dots of water.
dots. Yeah.
That stuff you see in outdoor shops and things like Grangers and Knickwacks that you wash in. There's a special stuff for washing your waterproof coat. That's to maintain that water repellency. But when that wears off and your jacket just gets wetted out in the rain, it means it's no longer breathable. So this is a common thing for if you're out in the mountains all day, you're out in a jacket all day, and it started off fine, keeping you dry, but eventually, it all came in and I got wet. What might be happening is actually the moisture vapor underneath can't go anywhere, so it just builds up inside your jacket like a misty bathroom and condenses in there, and you get soaked through in your own sweat whilst it's raining outside. But the good thing is it will still keep some heat in, so you're not going to die of hypothermia. But that does mean then for different jackets and different designs, that breathability rate, or the moisture vapor transfer rate, is different for different jackets. And some of them are just warmer by default, and some of the thicker ones and the heavier duty ones are warmer by default. Old Ridgelines were terrible for this. It was like walking around in a bin bag.
God, they were hot as hell. Yeah.
Yeah, old Fortis jackets were like that as well. There's a review of mine of the Fortis SAS smock somewhere, which actually got me banned from the Fortis tent for about 3 years. Because I said, it's a lovely coat, really rugged, I've still got it. It's about as breathable as a bin bag. And
well, you see, this is an interesting thing. You see, if you do a savage review, sometimes it can work in your favor, because when I did for the shooting times, see,
you did a fair few.
Yeah, I did a lot. And Schoffel had just released this Schoffel Ptarmigan Pro something or other, and they stupidly claimed it to be the best shooting coat ever made.
Oh,
right?
No.
Yeah. Not good. Not good. So this was a red rag to Patrick Galbraith. And I hadn't been writing for the shooting times that long. And he said, I'm going to send you this Schoffel Ptarmigan Pro, and I want you to go and review it. But they've said it's this. And so, of course, me being a bit of a greenhorn didn't realise, and Patrick being a bit of a greenhorn as editor, didn't realise that kit reviews, and let's put the spoiler alert out here, kit reviews in any sporting magazine are not kit reviews. They are advertorials.
Advertorials, yeah.
Right? Now, when Galbraith ran the shooting times, he decided, because he's a bit of an anarchist, he went, stuff this, send it in. And he actually did a really clever thing. So he sent me this thing saying, I think it's a load of shit. I want to know honestly what you think. So I took it out on the first day of the wildfowling season, and I wrote 1,400 words on this rubbish coat. I mean, if you're after a shooting coat, it was a lightweight one for start of the season, and it was supposed to be designed for people who sort of were going on partridge days, or it came on to rain when you were in your grouse butt. Well, it had things like the pockets were so small. I mean, I've got big hands. I've got hedge layers hands, but I couldn't even get my hands in the pockets, right? And then we went and every single thing, and I nicknamed this coat Russell, because that's all it sounded like. Everywhere you walked, there was this shh, 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 It was about as tactical as wearing flippers on a muntjac stalk. It was utterly rubbish. There was no redeemable feature. Even the stupid little hood they gave with you, unless you had a head the size of a pea, it wouldn't have worked. And so I wrote this absolutely stinking review on it, and it was like people were writing into the editor and saying, finally, a kit review that actually says something shit rather than 9.5 out of 10.
Refreshing.
Yeah, and they liked it. And the funny thing was that Marcus Janssen, the main man at Schoffel in the UK, he, I think, was a bit pissed off. And they actually took this coat off the market in the end. Yeah. But they took it off the market because I think they realised it was actually a load of old wank. Anyway, push came to shove. And from there on in, all these brands suddenly said to Galbraith, they said, I'm going to send you this and give it to Negus to review and see if he thinks this is shit. And it was the best thing I ever did, except I made a rod for my own back because I wanted to write lots of lovely articles about conservation and the sheen on a teal's wing as I went wildfowling. And all I got to do was write frigging reviews of kit. But there we go. So write a shit review.
It was good fun.
We had a lot of fun, Callum, didn't we?
I wrote a really hard review once for a Samsung camera that wasn't very good, and I had one of the engineers from Korea, from Seoul, at the Samsung city, and they took objection to all the stuff and kept emailing me about my review, and in the end I had to send them like raw files and actual JPEGs of all the stuff and all the points I was talking about, and we ended up becoming like quite good friends. Really, they were really appreciative that I'd actually taken the time to be like, yeah, this isn't great, this isn't great, this isn't great, and they quite liked it. But it was a bit scary getting emails from people that actually made the cameras, and you don't think as well it could be somebody's job.
No, that's the thing, and it's like,
no, is it? I don't know.
It's weird.
Big boss man, Mr. Samsung's probably not going to be happy of saying, these people are saying the camera's not good.
It's weird when you sort of find out that what you've written about this one thing has had an effect elsewhere completely unintentionally. Because it's like, well, if I'd known about that, I wouldn't necessarily have said the same thing, or I would have done, but I would have felt differently about it. I used to do gear reviews for a climbing and hill walking place, and they sent me a tent, this MSR tent, very expensive thing. It's like 500 quid for a tent.
Wow. MSR is usually
it's a good brand, it's a
great,
good solid brand, but it really annoyed me that there was a 500 quid tent, and you got like the inner bit and the outer bit and all the pegging points, and then where all the guy lines come down to. But to keep the weight down on the package size, they'd not included enough tent pegs to sort of peg out all the points on the tent. You'd have to make a choice, which isn't unusual with a tent. You don't always peg everything out, but it annoyed me that they didn't send you enough pegs with a 500 quid tent to peg every attachment point. So I put it in the review, and I put it quite prominently in the review, just saying this is bloody stupid. Anyway, I got a thing from the editor back saying, we don't normally editorialize reviews, but can you drop out the bit about the pegs? They're quite pissed off. And I was like, nope, right, the pegs are staying in now. But then I found out from a mate who works in Cotswold Outdoors that the rep for who brings MSR into the UK, or for that company, was after that saying, right, there's this review about tent pegs. People are asking about the tent pegs. Ignore all questions about tent pegs. And I ended up with this stupid situation where people were now arguing about whether tent pegs come with a 500 quid tent that has no bearing on anyone's life anywhere, but it just became a stupid, silly little thing.
That's quite good to have such an impact.
I did a review for a Harkiller heated gilet, right, which was absolutely mega. Now, but you've got to write 1,400 words on a heated gilet, right? Now, I went, how the hell am I going to do this? So I looked up, and actually, just down the road, there's a village called Mendlesham, which is round here, of course. This is where huge numbers of the US bomber bases were during the war. Yeah. And the first heated suit that was used so that the flying fortresses could fly above the height that the Luftwaffe could get to, they gave the flight crew these heated suits which they plugged into things. So I wrote about 900 words on the history of the bombers flying out from Mendlesham and how they trialed these heated suits and how they plugged it into the electrics on these old flying fortresses, and sometimes they would literally get electrocuted and sort of end up sort of dying, not from getting shot by the Luftwaffe but by their heated suits. And then I did the rest of the review on this thing, and I said, it's brilliant, this thing. Put it on, and you've got an app that you can turn on it talks to you.
An app. Nothing needs.
A jacket is
You can't
controlled by
believe
an
it.
app.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
utterly bizarre. And it had this little button on it that glowed sort of blue for just warm, amber for quite toasty, and red is that you've obviously got terrible circulation. And so I did all this thing on it, and it all worked off of this little Harkiller battery unit. And I wrote such a wordy, but my usual sort of slightly verbose article about this, and people went out and bought it. Now, when they sent me the trial one, they sent me a Harkiller battery pack, one of these sort of charging units like you put your mobile phone into, right? Plus the little jacket thing. And the jacket for a gilet, I think it was about 200 notes, I think. And all these people went off and bought it. And a lot of them were sort of quite elderly gentlemen thinking, I'm feeling a bit cold these days, so I'm going to put this on. But when Harkiller actually sold this thing, they didn't sell it with the little battery charger thing that made the thing actually work. Because in Norway, everybody has one of these little charging units for their phone, because if your car breaks down in the middle of a Norwegian forest and you suddenly go, oh my God, my phone's gone dead, you have one of these charging units, or you have that to charge it into your thing so you don't die of hypothermia. And they just assumed that everyone in the UK would have one of these things. So someone went out and, on my say-so, bought a gilet for 200 quid, and that they were waiting to glow up and sort of make their back woes go away. And they still had to then go and buy another 150 quid on a Harkiller charging unit. And I got all sorts of emails from wonderful old gentlemen saying, dear Mr. Degas, I read your review in the Shooting Times and was inclined to buy the Harkiller heated gilet. Unbeknownst to me, I had to buy some battery thing as an additional. I wish you'd have said that in the...
To be fair, they're lucky that Harkiller, if it was like Ring cameras, you'd probably have to pay $19.99 per month to open the app and use it. And you want actual warmth. I thought you just wanted standby warmth. Oh, that's the free version.
If you want it to work before dawn, you have to pay extra.
Oh, you want the premium package? Yeah, no worries. That's 25.
Yeah.
You can get the family one now if you subscribe, and that's 30 as long as you pay for the year.
We'd laugh about this thing that shooting's worth 10 billion per annum to the national economy. Let's be perfectly honest. Shooting isn't worth 10 billion. It's all the kit that we've all persuaded them. The three of us sat here today have persuaded people to buy, because we get paid a couple of hundred notes to write a review, and then we persuade lots of people to buy, and that's where the 10 billion quid comes from. We are the facilitators of that 10 billion quid of all the kit. But there we go.
Imagine if you put a tax on all that, 1% tax on all that kit, and made that go back into conservation.
Oh, that would be the thing, wouldn't it?
Just like the Americans do already.
Yes, that's what we talked about the other day, wasn't it? Was that let's find that 10 billion quid, put a tax on it, and put it back into conservation. But I think we all agreed, Richard, you and I, that the person who oversees where that money goes is me. Not Natural England. Tony Juniper, get your hands off. You're not allowed anywhere near it. Let the proper grown-ups do it.
Imagine if you put a small amount of money to your favourite content creators, so you can listen to extra parts and support their creative endeavours.
How would you do that, Callum?
Oh, you could simply subscribe to Patreon. RP's got the seal of approval there. You can simply subscribe to our Patreon, which is www.countryslide.com. patreon.com/support. And for a small amount of money, you can line the coffers of Mr. Patreon, and also we get a tiny little bit
For the
too.
fees, yes.
And then, so you can pay a billionaire and us a little bit of
Yeah.
money, which would be great.
There we go.
And you get access to nice Twitter, which is the WhatsApp chat. And you also get extra bits of these episodes that we usually cut out, not just because they're career ending, but you get a little bit of extra stuff. And it's really quite good.
Yeah, normally that after show is about as long as the main episode. And the WhatsApp chat is worth it on its own, because I think
it's
averaging
great.
about 200 messages per day at the moment, I think. And the forestry people, it's worth joining just to see the antics in the little forestry sub chat of all these contractors, all the forestry people. I think basically they were the people that ate crayons at school, and then we gave them chainsaws and big machines and forwarders and winches and stuff like that. And now they're here, and it's great. You get to observe it. And then some of them are from the Forest of Dean as well, which is just double bubble on that. Anyone else I can offend?
I don't know. I think you've done pretty well there, mate. What about the Dutch? Oh no, we've done it.
They're trawling Instagram and the rest of the internet to find people felling trees badly, or they haven't sharpened their chainsaws properly, and they're just character assassinating them. It's like they feel, finally, we've found our safe space. We can do that on CountrySlide forestry. We ought to call it is Twitter still a thing? Are we allowed to use it? Can we call this CountrySlide Twitter? Because it basically is like Twitter used to be in the good old days, but it's got these little sort of sub chats in it, and I enjoy that. I'm rather enjoying as well the food and drink thing, because I almost look forward to the Game Glutton coming on and just doing, there's all this sort of slightly cack-handed cooking that goes on, and we'll sort of go, oh, we go, look, I made this, really good. And then all of a sudden, there we are. Look, someone who actually properly knows how to cook. Damn you. The Game Glutton has come on and he's shown us some beautiful thing. And I did use one of his recipes that he did the other day, which was quite cool. For I converted his one where he had made a grouse pie. I used partridge instead, and it was delicious.
Better for alliteration.
Yes, a partridge pie.
What? How did you make a partridge pie? What goes into a partridge pie?
Basically, what he did was he first of all smoked I smoked the breast and chopped that down, and it was essentially like a pork pie, like a
solid sort
thing.
Of thing.
No, not like a sort of a steak and kidney pie. This was more like a sort of a pork pie, whatever they're called, with a gelatin in it and a water crust, and it was absolutely delicious. Nice. And I've still got a little bit left
with smoked partridge.
Smoked partridge.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
It was proper good, and you suddenly went, do you know what? I can justify every single shot I took, because this was food from the gods.
I always feel like when you wrap it in pastry and you got the gelatin, it looks quite good. If you do the same thing and turn it into like a terrine, it just looks a lot like cat food, and I can't really get over it. You look at it and you're like, that's not very appetizing. I know it'll probably taste nice, but
how did you smoke it? How did you smoke your breast?
In a cold smoke. In my outside, I have got a what's it called? A barbecue.
Bradley?
A barbecue.
Oh, barbecue.
And I've got a cold smoking thing that's like a...
is it a Pro-Q?
Yeah, one of those things that goes and sort of... And I did...
Like a square spiral.
That's right, spiral.
Was that not my pick for Christmas gift guide
I think it was, Callum. Yes, I think you're right. I think it was. And I've got one of those, and then I do it at night, so it's cold outside, and leave it and just smoke it away in there, and it was yum. I did also do that at your suggestion. I did go and first of all brine it in sugar and salt. So,
you sound like you've.
Oh man,
I need to try this
Do
pie
you
out. I
know?
really
Shall
do.
I tell you something? It's this. Doing this podcast, we are now on our 51st episode, which they all laughed at us, but they're not laughing now. It's something whereby I learn something off this, and it's largely because of not just us three blethering away to one another, because we know one another intimately. Not that intimately, obviously, but I think it's some stuff
We've
that
all touched each other in real life.
we have touched each other in real life. We've hugged with Callum and I. We've shared dirt.
I've photographed your ankles.
Exactly.
Quite a number of
I've
times.
bent over for you just to show the flex.
I've seen you in waders.
Exactly.
Nothing else.
Well, when you sign up to Richard's OnlyFans, Callum's actually the admin who talks to you.
Do you know, I've just had a
Yeah.
brilliant idea, right? To add value to our patrons, what you ought to try and do, Callum, is trawl through all the really bad photographs you took of me doing kit reviews. You know, the ones where sort of say, I'm not going to put that one in. Just see if you can find all the really shit ones that make me and the kit
You know
look
what the
crap.
good ones are?
Hmm?
The really good ones are when the wildfowlers use very phallic-looking duck calls.
Oh, yeah.
And they hold them very tightly to their face, possibly with two hands, and they give them a like this, because there's quite a few of those, and the tip's slightly blurry. You can't really tell what it
You're
is.
just off to
but
the left of
you
the
don't
frame.
really. It was before AI, and yeah, it's pretty convincing.
Okay, if I send you the one I have of a singer-songwriter and my friend who is kneeling in front of him while he adjusts his harness, I think we can put some magic together here and do a patron-only photo.
There we go.
Calendar.
That's the calendar. It's not actually crap taxidermy and weird things you've got in your study. It's going to be, yes, men with duck calls.
Compromising positions.
Yeah.
Field sports and compromising positions.
Do you know there is actually a calendar each year which is women in waders, comes out. It's American, and I think it was done as a genuine sort of thing, and they basically get these ladies. Is almost as bad as that Bowden thing, where they put girls in pretending they were salmon fishing in sort of mini tweed mini skirts and stuff like that. This, being American, went one further. This was basically sort of rather enhanced all-American ladies in the middle of rivers. And I do hasten to add, we must go and put a link in the show notes for this, is Women in Waders calendar. And it's very funny because they're sort of got wonderful American big hair, white teeth, very large breasts, very skimpy bikinis, waders on, and they are casting for sort of trout in American rivers. It's very funny. They started doing it as for serious. Now they just do it as a piss take. It's wonderful. Get it every year.
We need to have that link in the description, because if you leave people to search for it themselves, it might end up with womenwithwaders.co.uk, which is a complete ponds cleaning specialist service in Bedfordshire, Hertfordshire, in the middle of England. It's a very different type of women with waders.
It might appeal to some of our listeners, but it's probably not like women in waders, which is very funny. In an American sort of redneck way. I can imagine that hanging in, those duck hides that the Americans build, which are sort of almost like a sort of underground fort where they've got a sort of a full kitchen, bunkhouse and all that sort of stuff. And occasionally they pop their heads above water and sort of shoot a couple of blue teal. I think that is definitely Women in Waders. That calendar is hanging in that place.
There is a carp one as well.
Carp fishers, women.
It's not great. I wouldn't recommend. There's a carp fishing sort of very European.
Okay.
Where do you hold the carp?
Here and here.
Is that two carps at the same time?
Quite a size. I'll Google it. Yeah, I mean sometimes there are.
Is it a bit like the difference between Razzle and Playboy? You know,
I think we could do a calendar between us as well. I mean, we've got a quarter of the year
Ugh.
covered with the three of us.
Strategic bill hook. A nice, very little telephoto lens somewhere.
yeah, that'd be nice, wouldn't it? I tell you what, if it's Mr. September, that would be really horrible.
The wrong amount of tent pegs. Just strategically place some kind of deadly mushroom.
Look, we could actually go and we could simulate some of the best episodes we've ever had, and we could put them back, Callum. And you're going to have to photograph those situations we've talked about. So, like Spaniels ask crisps.
Spaniels ask crisps. Yeah.
We could have the horse semen incident, but I'm really not looking forward to getting that one replayed. That.
In my head, that's a little bit like Takeshi's Castle, or one of those sort of like Total Wipeout things where it gets very animated, and you're in the. Remember in the 90s where you used to get gunged at any reason. That's how it would be. In my head.
It was basically that. I got gunged, by poor old Damalis ejecting a large sort of dollop of Polish president's ejaculate in my mouth with Vaseline. Ugh.
We need to talk about this because, we talked about the podcast bleeding out into real life.
Yes.
This is affecting me because I went into our local farmer supply store there's a brand called Winstay, which is like Mole Valley Farmers or that kind of thing. One of those. They have a chain and you get all your bits from there. But I went in there and Alid, hello Alid, if you're listening. I don't know why you carried on, but there you go. He'd been told to listen to the podcast by my mother. I went in and he said, I've listened to the horse one. And then he had to explain to the other staff in the shop what the horse one means. But we had to explain what the podcast was first. And this is in a shop where there's a queue of angry Welsh farmers gradually building up behind me whilst I'm trying to justify why there's a horse semen podcast that I'm telling people to not listen to. It's a ridiculous situation to be in, and it's not. This crossover into real life is starting to become an issue.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd say that I listened back to that in the car and I was nearly crying with laughter. So I'd say definitely our funniest yet.
But the funny thing is, because I have to go to these sort of literary soirees these days, right? I have to go there, mwah, mwah. The double kiss, sometimes 3, which I don't quite know what that one means.
3. Very European.
I can tell people who have listened to CountrySlide, because when I go in for that moi, moi bit, they recoil. They recoil going, you are not kissing me, spunky breath. So it's... Yeah, it's a hard knock life for us now since CountrySlide's become global.
On the subject of best episodes yet, Richard Prideaux, it has been said multiple times by many people, Nigel Vardy episode
last
is
week.
The best one yet.
Do we really think so?
So well done.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. It's quite. There's not many episodes I've got to be a full observer on. And that one I was. And it was really, really interesting. One of the best comments was somebody said that they listen to it all the time while they do work, and they'd spent whatever it was, an hour and a half listening to it and not done any work. So that is the best praise you could possibly get, I'd say.
He's a great storyteller.
Engage them throughout.
Claire listened to it out on walking the dogs, and I thought, she's been gone a long old while. And she said, I had to do an extra loop with the dogs because she didn't want to break it, because she'd come back after an hour, and it's an hour and a half long. And she said, there's so many bits in there. She said, if you were trying to go and you can spend huge amounts of money listening to some inspirational speaker who's going to go and do that. And he said it was just a great inspiration of how you recover over adversity. And I think, though, it's not just the fact that Nigel is an amazing guy. What you did so well, Richard, was as a journalist, you were able to bring the best out of him, and it got increasingly better because he felt more comfortable in your presence.
Yeah.
And you got the best out of him. And so when you watch Frostbitten, I was finished watching it on TV, and you think of the production values and that, I was left wanting more. After listening to you interview him, I thought, why on earth didn't they let you loose on making that program? Because it was so bloody good, that interview with him, because you brought every single brilliant bit out of that lovely man, and I loved him all the more after listening to you. And
Thank you very much, chaps. That was I always struggle with praise, but that's yeah. It really, though, it's the stories of real people are the most engaging thing to listen to, and it's that the little bit of skill that all three of us can bring to that is getting that story out of them, and that's what I want to do more of with this podcast moving forward. You know, we've just talked about all this other crap through the whole episode, but really these stories of real people need to hit a bigger audience, and there's such relevance to what's going on in the world at the moment as well. Listening to people having gone through their own things over the past 10, 20, 30, 40 years. I think it's good to hear that narrative of change as well, because it can remind you that even if things aren't the best for you at the moment, this too shall pass. This too will get better, because you can listen to someone else get through something. So that's what I want to do, is find out more stories, possibly from people who would never get a chance at telling it on a platform anyway.
No,
because they haven't got enough followers on Instagram or something.
I think because one of the things that we set out to do was to tell our story and real life of living and working in the countryside through the different angles of which we work through it. I think giving then that voice to other people is very important. And I'll leave us, before we go, is a fascinating thing. Goldie, the other day, went to a funeral of an old gamekeeper who sadly passed away. And he said that there were some ecologists who got hugely excited about the fact that they had discovered an orchid which they thought was non-existent. And they then discovered actually that this one was back here. And Goldie said to me, he goes, it's quite funny. He said, all these ecologists got very, very excited about that. He said, but he said, this old boy, this gamekeeper who they'd put in the soil, it told him about 3 years ago, because I've got some orchids in my woods. He said, and I always fell a few trees along this ride. He said, because they go and creep along there. He said, I know they do. And Richard said, are they rare? He goes, oh, I know they're rare. He said, but I don't need any other bugger bloody telling me that they're rare. He said, I'm going to keep them to myself. He said, otherwise they'll come and poke about and try and dig them up. And the sad thing is, we put that old boy in the ground, right? And we said goodbye to him. But he knew more about those bloody orchids and what made them grow than some flipping people who, in inverted commas, discovered them. But no, he freaking knew Derek knew that they were there completely, and he knew how to get them to grow more, but he doesn't want to tell anyone about it. What I would like to do is exactly what we are starting to do, is let's pass on some of that knowledge and some of that expertise and lived experience to people before we have to put these sods in the ground, or they just get cancelled because they might say F and Jeff and a few sort of wrong speak words. And I think that would be a mission accomplished for CountrySlide.
Well, that's a good place to end it, isn't it? I should move on into the after show.